Hi, and welcome to episode 9 of the J-Karp Show, starring yours truly. And today we will discuss the BCS title game, which is on January 9th in New Orleans, and the fact that Oklahoma State's not in it! That's right, it's LSU versus Alabama again. Big freaking whoop. The Crimson Tide edged out Oklahoma State in the final round of voting many Sundays ago, and will play the top-ranked Tigers in the All-State National Championship game. And undefeated LSU is the only team to beat Alabama this season, and the head of the BCS officials sees a do-over as a perfectly good title game. He's, quote, absolutely. If they're 1-2, and they're in the polls released today, which was a few weeks ago, says Executive Director Bill Hancock. Hancock. Still, it's not exactly a game the public was clamoring for, at least outside of Southeastern Conference territory, and it will do nothing to quiet the critics of the Bowl Championship Series or calls for a college football playoff. But like it or not, the system has ensured that the SEC, home to both schools, will run its streak of BCS championships to 6 in a row. The Cowboys made a late surge by beating Oklahoma 44-10 and closed the gap between themselves and Alabama in the polls, but it was not enough to avoid the first title game rematch in the 14-year history of the BCS. In fact, the Tigers beat the Tide 9-6 in overtime November 5th in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma State Brandon Whedon said, quote, but I know we had a heck of a year and we beat really good football teams in this conference, and we're conference champions. So we did everything that we could. Well, I wish it was more. I really wanted to see them in the championship. And Alabama, with the nation's #1 defense, won out and will play for its second BCS crown in 3 years. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, with one of the most potent offenses in the country, gets its first BCS appearance only as a consolation prize. Now, as usual, I read comments sent in from me, and I got a lot of them, I have to say. This is probably, if I remember correctly, the most I've ever gotten sent in. Because, believe it or not, despite how many weeks it's been since the game was set, it's still very controversial. So, the first comment sent in is from MJB. Quote, I was sympathetic to Oklahoma State for being left out of the title game until I learned the SEC commissioner suggested a +1 system involving the 4 teams in the BCS top 4 a few years back. Using the year's final standings, LSU would play Stanford, Alabama would play Oklahoma State. The winners of those two would face each other for the BCS title. The Pac-12, Big Ten, and Big 12 commissioners all voted against it. I'm not going to lie, that would be a better idea. I would not mind seeing that type of playoff format. Have the winners that, because if the top 4 teams are there, then obviously it's not like they're missing much. The next one is from Golden Boys 790. Quote, why not just make the SEC championship game? The national championship game? I mean, that's where the best teams are. Oh yeah, that's right, it's all about the money. Well, you got a good point. It is all about the money. That's sports for you. And then the last one we have, that I'm going to read, is from Sooner142. The only bowl Boise State deserves to play in is in the Toilet Bowl, which is surprisingly tougher than their conference. Oh, crap. Gee, well, let's see. Judging by his name, I wonder what school he likes. And look, I like Boise State. I'm gonna be brief on this. I like Boise State, but I think they're kind of overrated. I'm sorry, I hate to admit it, but they choked last year, too, when they were facing Nevada. Now, anyway, back to the BCS title game. See, this isn't socialism. This is college football. The bowls are all out to make money. The cities themselves need to make money, so they want whatever team has the most fans. But I wanted to see OSU versus LSU, but that's not going to happen. In fighting sports, there is an idea that if you want to be sure of win, you better not let the fight go to a decision. Similarly, if a questionable call by a ref costs you the game, you shouldn't let the margin of victory be so close. OSU has only themselves to blame for making BCS voters split hairs between them and Alabama. All they needed to do, all Oklahoma State had to do to make the championship game, was not lose to a 17-point underdog with a losing conference record. Coach Mike Gundy keeps saying they did everything they could, but they didn't do everything they should have done. The same goes for Alabama. If you want to win a national championship, you had better beat LSU in the regular season, or you lose control of your destiny. By the way, LSU should thank Alabama for dropping that game, because if LSU had lost by 3 in overtime, no team outside of an undefeated Oklahoma would have had a chance to pass LSU, and the rematch would have been certain from the very start. The bottom line is, it's all about the money. It's LSU versus Crimson Tide 2. But what really gets me is, say Alabama wins. A lot of the comments sent in, a lot of people wonder, are they truly the champions? Because it's tied 1-1 in the season. You never know. So, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Now, as usual, in the comment section below, tell me what you think about the BCS title game and if it should have been OSU versus LSU. Or even somebody else. You might have another school. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 9 of the J-Karp Show, and I will see you next time.